This call is being recorded.
Alright, so what you were saying was some fire stuff. Like, basically, the people that are being gang stalked and they're being targeted by this mind control, the MK Ultra, behavioral modification, remote neural monitoring, even the covert drugging plays a part in it. Any type of trauma-based activity splits the person's personality like pies. Would you say?
Right. Well, no, because you can have different structures. I mean, you can have a person who's what they would call, let's say, just a split personality, which would be the typical Jekyll and Hyde, and maybe on both sides of that personality, like each one of those people is what they would call polyfragmented. Mm-hmm. You can have people who it was severe enough, or how they processed it was to the point where they really do have full-blown MPD where they lose time and they like buy stuff and they don't remember it. Um, I'm not one of those people that was ever that like amnesic for anything. Most of my stuff was uh, when the handlers would come and run some type of operation with me, they had a protocol
Right.
for making sure that I went back into my daily life and wasn't thinking about it. And you could kind of try to view that as like an ingrained compliance from childhood, but I promise you there were some times where some of the stuff, if they hadn't done the extra things that they did, I probably would have remembered it. I mean, there's a couple of times I remembered enough where I'd try to go to the police, but I get shut down.
Right.
Yeah, and so, but the thing that I was talking to you about before was something that was, I think the thing that is different about me, at least as far as I haven't heard anybody else talk about it, is the fact that I was made aware of gang stalking, and I was made aware of my gang stalking program before I went through it. So I was made aware of it. Yeah, I was made aware of it, and then because of the existing MK Ultra traumas, obviously that conversation would kind of get covered up, right? But the way they set up the triggers was to pull down that amnesia and have me go back in time, essentially, like a time travel in my mind when I was 16, and they were talking to me about it, and I started to say, okay. So what they said to me was that they're using the gang stalking tactics on me, and they're doing it actually experimentally as a way of seeing if the gang stalking triggers have anything to do with recalled memories, and how that affects like choices and behaviors. And so initially when it started, I mean, it was kind of, I mean, you really do feel surreal, like you're in a movie, like you're having a psychotic break when it starts happening. And, but there's like this impulse, if you feel like it's life or death, to like comply with going out. And actually for me, I was going out and meeting my triggers on purpose. I felt like they were directing me somewhere.
Right.
And they continued to do that until it got to the point where it started to turn negative. And then because I had already like bought into it and invested into it, I couldn't get my brain out of that groove. And so once it turned negative, I started to get really irritated. And so the way that it impacted me negatively in terms of whether I got more tired or wanted to self-medicate or things, was every little thing was like Chinese water torture. It was like, why are you here? Why does this have to be here? This is really irritating. I'm irritated again. I don't want to be irritated. I don't want to see this. And so that went on for about, I want to say like 2 years, at least, like nonstop. And it's only been within this past 6 months or so where a lot of that stress has started to go down, I would say, by at least 80%, 80 to 90%. And I feel like I'm starting to self-regulate again. And, unfortunately, part of that is, like some of it is learning how to ignore some of the triggers, but some of it is just that they've kind of backed off as far as I can tell. Either they've backed off or I've like deprogrammed enough to where there's stuff I'm just not paying attention to it, so it's not bothering me,
Okay. Well, yeah, Rachel, are you there?
Yeah, sorry that took a minute for me to get on.
Oh, that's no problem. Rachel, this is Josh. Josh right now is going over we were just breaking down some of the MK Ultra elements, and Josh was real interested in hearing your perspective on the voice to skull, some of the stuff you went through, and Josh is well aware of the MK Ultra program, and so, why don't you guys introduce yourselves to each other, and then we can just see where that leads us. You guys just go ahead. Josh?
All right, man. Hey, Rachel. It's great to meet you. The reason I want to talk to you is because, I'm not sure how old you are. I'm in my 40s now. So the first time I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I'm 35.
Oh, you're 35. Okay, great. The first time I ever experienced V2K, I think, was around 1978, and I've been through like both the mechanical and the normal voices, and I wanted to know if you had noticed any changes or you have a different experience of it versus the people, the people that are out there now who say that the technology has gotten to where it's like they're conflating V2K with synthetic telepathy. Like they're talking about the thought insertion and they're saying, oh, well, it's silence, whereas people like us who might have the audible V2K would say, well, that doesn't sound like the same thing, basically. Like, and how do you tell the difference? So I wanted to know, like, if we could compare stories of, like, the first time you got a voice to skull experience, and, like, what physical reaction did you have? Like, what did you think about it? What did they say to you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely answer that question. The very, very first thing they ever said to me was every now and then, and this would happen just randomly, I would say maybe once or twice a week, and then it started getting closer and closer together. Whenever I'd go to pick up a lighter, they would say, or light my cigarettes or whatever, they'd say, subliminal messaging does not work. And so I noticed whenever I picked up a lighter, that's all I heard. And then
one second, Rachel, one second. Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Rachel's speaking right now. She was responding to Josh. Josh was going over some MK Ultra work. Rachel was breaking down her experience of it. And so after Rachel gets through speaking, then we'll all they'll introduce themselves to you. Okay, all right. So just listen. Rachel got some really good stuff, and we're just going around right now. Rachel, go ahead and continue.
Okay, so yeah, that was the first thing they said to me. So every time I picked up a lighter, they'd be like, subliminal messaging does not work. And my reaction to that was that my own thought? And then I was like, I haven't thought about subliminal messaging in a while, so I just like entertained the idea, you know? And then I was like, I think it does work, because in my opinion, it does work, you know? So every time they bring it up, I think about the subject for a minute, and then I just disregard it.
When you say, is that my own thought, is it because the experience of it, as if your brain suddenly said it to you, but it was not the same thing as if you had an auditory, what would have been a schizophrenic auditory hallucination outside? See, here's the thing. With the V2K that I went through, it was like different from those type of voices. It was like it would still me to the point where it was like I was having like a partial complex seizure, and then the voices would literally be in my head loud, like I could feel the vibration of the person's energy, like it's there, like in your brain, which is different from when I have like an alter voice jump in and say something like that, to where it's like your body is still kind of stilled, if that makes sense. Like you're still just like, I don't feel like I've been jolted, because the V2K, when it's the other people, I feel like it jolts you physically.
Right.
I do get the jolt, but I don't know, my dialogue is like 24/7, so I didn't really make the connection that it could be part of the voices. Like I never even thought about that connection.
That's why I feel like it's sinister. It's sinister because you see the V2K has already gotten people who aren't schizophrenic diagnosed that way. It's also it's kind of like I can't find the word right now. It's demonized schizophrenics, and then I feel like a person with a DID, they've now got the technology to replicate alters. So then you have to sit there and go, well, I could have DID and have alters and be getting hit with V2K. How do I know the difference, and how do I use that to like sort out what I need to pay attention to start getting evidence? You see, they're confusing
Andrea.
Hey.
Andrea, listen, Andrea, have you ever had voice to skull?
No, but I have had thoughts implanted that are very suicidal, and I know that they're not mine. If that makes any
I thought
sense
that was
to you.
part of it. That's something different.
Well, are you speaking about where like you were under hypnosis and somebody verbally told you something under hypnosis, or they played like a record back to you, that kind of thing?
Well, my grandfather is a psychiatrist and a hypnotist, and he did used to hypnotize me. I don't know if that's where the suicide programming came from, but I mean, even just 2 days ago, the thoughts came in my head like, you should just kill yourself. Nobody loves you. Like, and I know that those are not my thoughts. I'm a godly woman. I wouldn't think that way. So I know that those were implanted, and those aren't my thoughts.
Yeah, they tell me to kill myself like every day.
Yeah, that's something that I have struggled with a lot.
Yeah, and those aren't my thoughts
Absolutely.
either, because I'm nowhere near suicidal.
Absolutely, absolutely. For the record, if nobody minds, I just want to read a short segment from what Wikipedia says about Project MK Ultra, so the listeners who are unfamiliar with Project MK Ultra can have an idea what we're talking about when we say mind control, and then it'll just kind of clear the air for us, so we can all have sort of like an insight, a quick reading from it. Is that okay with everybody? It'll just take a couple
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh yeah.
Okay. This is on Wikipedia. Project MK Ultra, also called the CIA Mind Control Program, is the code name given to a program of experiments on human subjects that were designed and undertaken by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, and which were at times illegal. Experiments on humans were intended to identify and develop drugs and procedures to be used in interrogations in order to weaken the individual and force confession through mind control. The project was organized through the Office of Scientific Intelligence of the CIA and coordinated with the U.S. Army Biological Warfare Laboratories. The operation was officially sanctioned in 1953, was reduced in scope in 1964, further curtailed in 1967, and officially halted in 1973. The program engaged in many illegal activities, including the use of U.S. and Canadian citizens as its unwitting test subjects, which led to controversy regarding its legitimacy. MK Ultra used numerous methods to manipulate people's mental states and alter brain functions, including the surreptitious administration of drugs, especially LSD and other chemicals, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, including the sexual abuse of children, and other forms of torture. The scope of Project MK Ultra was broad, with research undertaken at 80 institutions, including colleges and universities, hospitals, prisons, pharmaceutical companies. The CIA operated through these institutions using front organizations, although sometimes top officials at these institutions were aware of the CIA's involvement. Project MK Ultra was first brought to public attention in 1975 by the Church Committee of the United States Congress and Gerald Ford's United States President's Commission on CIA Activities within the United States. Investigative efforts were hampered by the fact that CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MK Ultra files to be destroyed in 1973. The Church Committee and Rockefeller Commission investigations relied on the sworn testimony of direct participants and on the relatively small number of documents that survived Helms' destruction order. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents relating to Project MK Ultra, which led to the Senate hearing later that year. Some surviving information regarding MK Ultra was declassified in July of 2001. So that I just wanted to clear the air on that concept right there. How does everybody feel about that?
I have a comment actually that I didn't even remember till this point in time. Is like I was just like when they mentioned sexual abuse, I'm like, oh my god, I just realized that I think I was at the place I went to, the institution I went to, because the voices would like talk to me like dirty sometimes and try to like talk me into an orgasm, like when I was in a bad mood or something. And it was very, very like disturbing to me because I don't like these voices and I don't like these people in this institution. And it's almost like they came on a microphone while I was sleeping and would just like sit there and try to talk dirty to me, you know?
Right. I've heard similar stories before. Josh, you can relate to that. I know you were talking about how they use sex as a way on children and even adults and stuff to mess with their minds.
Oh yeah, here's the thing too, which I feel like connects to, and I haven't talked to these people. Well, I've talked to her somewhat, but she hasn't interviewed me. If you listen to the Techno Crime Fighters, Ramola and Catherine and Karen and everybody, and they'll listen as well, talk about the chips that they have that enable them to experience, I guess, the same types of body memories that an MK Ultra survivor would experience, where it's like if they were not, they may not be abusive victims, but they could still experience what it's like to be raped. And I can remember some of the handlers, talking to me about that technology and talking about how that's exactly the direction they were going. They said, we're done with having to have so much control over so many people like you. We can't have this many lab rats anymore. We just need a way to work this on people to where it's just the chip doing it and we don't have to be there. And so it really makes you think, when those people talk, it's like I think they're probably telling the truth. I mean, why would my handlers tell me this is where they're going, and now people are reporting that we're having these symptoms, or we're having the symptoms of the things they said they were going to do. You know, but it can be also hard to sort out, because if you are MK Ultra, body memories are like really no joke. I mean, you can feel really, really bad just on your own without anybody hitting you with anything. I mean, I can testify to that. I've had so much stuff done to me physically. Like, I've had my stomach pumped probably 5 or 6 times in my life because of those people. I've had my ankle broken. I've been electrocuted in my skeleton. Um, I mean, there's just like so much stuff that if you look at it as I age, I mean, I'm probably going to start having symptoms of that trauma. And that's going to be there on top of anything that's being done artificially. So you're going to have to sort out like regular life versus this artificial life based on what you need to do about it. Like don't put everything down to, well, I need to stop these waves or something. It's like you may need to actually get vitamin shots. You might actually need to start exercising. You might need to get more sleep or something. Because they attack you on every single level. They attack you physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. Levels we might not even know about. Everything is attacked, and so I feel like it's not good to just like try and find like one single answer for it or one single explanation. It's good to like just keep all your bases covered for everything that you do for yourself, if that makes sense. Like don't let it take over to where everything is labeled as a result of the stalking or the program, because we're all still human too. If it wasn't happening, we would still get cancer, or still get diabetes, or still have a rotten tooth, or still get fat.
Right.
And so we need to take care of ourselves like that.
It's important to remember, with the mind control experiment, that MK Ultra had 150 sub projects, and this was not just done in America. This was all over the world. So there's a lot of different perspectives of MK Ultra and a lot of different things going on. Like Andrea, you brought up Project Omega with the suicide programming, and you were explaining how you began getting gang stalked after you found a little girl stabbed.
Yeah, actually my dog, when I was living in 500 Northside in Atlanta, Georgia, my dog found tunnels where they're trafficking children, and of course I called the police freaking out. I also found, like, right next to all the tunnels, like these burning, like where they burned all the evidence. I found a Coach wallet in there. I found bones, guns, bullets, like just a lot of evidence. And sure enough, one of the APD made me throw away the evidence. The sheriff ended up going down there again because there was a guy that was in the neighborhood that shot at the police. He had followed my neighbors with her little children back to the apartment, so they were looking for the guy. And I took that as an opportunity. I'm like, why don't you go in the tunnels and see if he's in there? He could be hiding in there. And sure enough, a little girl escaped, and she was covered. And, I mean, the worst stab wounds I've ever seen. She smelled like she was going to die. I mean, she was only 16 years old, and she was a foster care child. And she was telling me that the foster care DFACS was involved in trafficking the children underground in these tunnels. And once the FBI took over the case, then they came looking for me. And that's when I started really like getting gang stalked heavily with the black helicopters, and I mean, just it was
the FBI,
on a different level.
The FBI came looking for you once they knew that you were a witness to it.
Right. Because I had called the police, I had called the sheriff, I had been down in those tunnels. I mean, I put Bibles in there. I would pray, with my incense. I would go looking just with my friends, like, to try and help and find more children. Because she was, like, telling me that she wasn't the only one. She was just the only one that was able to escape. And I ended up talking to her at Charter Peachford. They had sent her to a mental hospital, and that is one thing I would like to say is they use mental hospitals to reprogram MK, and I do believe that gang stalking is just the new name for mind control. But
Man,
it's pretty much the same thing.
The criminality of it is shocking. Have you ever heard of Wayne Williams? The
No.
Atlanta. He was coming out of the Atlanta child murders from '79 to '81. He, to me, looked more like a patsy. I don't believe at all he was the only person involved with what he was accused of doing, of killing children. And it was the case turned political, and the case actually got shut down. People wanted to investigate and find out who was all involved in these child murders, and
Right.
the case was shut down. They just did not want it getting out that children were being murdered by cults. They just did not want to help. They just did not want to save the children. I guess I don't know. But
it's probably $1 trillion industry now. The child trafficking.
Right.
It's heartbreaking. You know, like this is something that is still happening to this day, and
So
it breaks my heart.
So the gang stalking was payback. Like, you found a girl stabbed damn near to death, and you're stepping in like, hey, this isn't cool, and now you're getting punished by getting gang stalked.
Oh yeah, they definitely upped it.
Wow. Wow.
It was really bad.
My God,
I was scared,
what is going
seriously, for my life, and I ended up in a mental hospital because I lost my mind. Actually, I ended up having a body memory from my childhood trauma that I didn't ever even remember happened. And I really don't believe I would have remembered it if it wasn't for those tunnels and finding it. It was like my body remembered the childhood trauma, which is very much so part of the trauma-based mind control programming. In order for a child to be able to split and alter so they can program the alters, they have to traumatize them, usually with sexual abuse.
Yeah, I got a niece that's 16, and I tell her all the time, be careful. You know, had I not had a background in alternative research and conspiracy research, I wouldn't have been too upfront about that. But I know how nobody tries to do anything to help these children. They go after the people who do try to help the children.
Exactly.
Save the children.
That's exactly right. They will kill you pretty much.
Yeah, you will get stalked and harassed and get targeted. And you might end up, you try to save the children, you might end up getting killed. And so you know, it's a wow, man. That's
they tried to arrest me, actually. like, there was a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. I'm like, y'all, they're trafficking children in this neighborhood. Like, hide your kids. It's not safe. And I put signs up. I caused hell with the leasing office, and I believe they were involved. And they called the police on me over and over and over again. My gang stalkers love to call the police on me. Well, I mean, the police officer almost arrested me for, what is it when you act crazy in public? Disorderly conduct.
Oh, like if you're disorderly conduct?
Yes, and luckily I prayed to God in the back of the cop car, and I just poured my heart. I told him the whole story, and bless his heart, he let me go. But, I mean, he was about to take me to jail for that, for just trying to help. And, you know,
just
I'm like, well, what's up? Yeah,
right.
like, what? I'm not allowed to open my mouth and you know, tell the truth. Now that's a crime. When they're trafficking children, you're not even going to arrest them. You're going to arrest me for calling them out? Like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
But, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yep, I know. I talked to a woman, and she knew exactly how this stuff was happening. She knew about it, and she said 2 people came over her house, and they never showed her any official credentials, but they told her, they said, listen, we will put drugs on you, and we will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep telling people about this stuff, about what we're doing to these children out here, we will kill you. And they told her that. The children are in danger. And it's real serious. And you know, this gang stalking stuff is really interesting because I do educational work because there's no community leadership in any of these communities whatsoever. So I do educational work to help people who are prone to suicide and help people figure out how to get their life together and get their lives on track. But this gang stalking stuff is tied to some really strange stuff. And
it's demonic.
You know,
it's evil.
Yeah,
it's pure evil.
They're enemies of my God.
And sometimes it's not tied to something big. Like, you know, she has a real clear-cut reason why she's getting gang stalked. And I think you do too, Jamil. But I don't. Like I think you were spot on when you said that I just fit a profile of someone they needed in a study. So you don't even have to witness anything, and it still might happen to you, you know?
Yeah, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be. You know, gang stalking can just be experimentation, or they might just start messing with people for no unknown reason, or it can be revenge for something. You know, you go up against you do some exposure of cover-ups and stuff. It can happen in that way, like what Andrea's talking about. But you know, we got to start looking at this gang stalking stuff and start figuring out how stuff like this happen. People report a little girl being almost stabbed to death in traffic. I think the woman's being gang stalked. I mean, this is incredible stuff. You know, I wish I could do more for the public who are being gang stalked, but you know, the criminality and the high numbers of the viciousness of it is incredible. It's really sickening. It reminds me of one of Adolf Hitler, some sort of Adolf Hitler or something, you know. And I'm glad I got my guy on the case because I couldn't, you know, it's bad.
Jamil, one thing. Can I add one thing? The stuff you guys are talking about, it's like when me and you were talking about, you asked me, well, how is it happening in broad daylight? We had that conversation in that previous interview, and I always told you, I was like, how is it that was in a school where like the teachers were a part of it and knew about it, and the parents were a part of it and knew about it? And one time when I was a teenager, there was a guy who was like a part of it and knew about it. When I tried to go to the FBI, it turned out he worked there, was the agent I had to go through to get to an actual agent. I mean, they've got their blocks in place everywhere.
Mhm.
Everywhere their blocks are in place. And so when I think, well, what about that teacher that I loved who told me she knew, and I looked back at her in anger, and I was like, why didn't you go to the FBI? Well, now maybe I understand why she didn't.
No. You would be better off going to the Russian mob. I want to be honest with you.
Right.
You'd be better off going to the Russian mob with a suitcase with $100K in it. You know, I mean,
right.
That's the reality. That's the reality of it. I wouldn't. That's why tonight we're promoting the money bomb. So I want to remind the listeners at this point, we're promoting the money bomb. What the money bomb is it represents a progression of society. We people being gang stalked are being tortured, humiliated, attacked, electronic weapons, covert drugging, disinformation campaigns on a daily basis, 24/7. If you have $5, $10, 500, 5,000, no matter what you got, every penny is necessary, and it will go to bringing us together in person. We want to get plane tickets, bus tickets, car fare money, whatever we can do to bring each other together in person and go to the campgrounds, go hiking, get out of society and get together. And we where there's less populated areas, there's less torment and gang stalking. We can then get our minds right and clear our minds, and then bring other people in who need that help. And tonight we're promoting the money bomb, and I don't care who the person is. They can't do for me what my God can do for me, and they can't do for my mind what I can do for my own mind. I'm responsible for my mind and how I take care of myself, and my God's responsible for my spiritual destiny. And no man can even come close to my God. I don't care who they think they are. And so tonight we're promoting the money bomb because I don't like the idea of these children being tortured like this. I've had 19-year-old girls contact me saying they were getting gang stalked. I've had 18-year-old young guys contact me, younger women, 23, 20. Younger people are under attack, and it's obvious. And they're going to universities getting gang stalked. There's elderly people in their 70s and 80s getting gang stalked. Christiane, who was on here last night, she talked about how they killed her dog, stole her car, and then blew her car up on the anniversary that they stole it. It's clear we got a problem, and we need to figure a way out of this. So please, can everybody support me on that? Don't you think it'd be nice if these people could contribute to the money bomb and help us move forward?
Absolutely.
Right.
Like even I got like physically assaulted by a gang stalker, and the police, just called the dude, asked him if he did it. He said no, and there's like, well, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Like that time where that woman tried to slap your glasses away on the ground and attacked you, and you weren't even doing nothing wrong. You were just minding your own business.
Where's this thing on the bus stop?
Yeah. And you're a woman, and you're being attacked by people, and
I'm a woman.
yeah. Women being attacked in public. Andrea, how do you feel about what we're doing with this money bomb? Do you support the concept of us people getting together at what capacity we can and living a life outside of this hell?
I think that's awesome, and I truly believe that nature is so healing. I moved out to the country, and just being able to be away from the insanity of the city and spend time in nature with God has really helped me to heal, because when you go through this type of experience, you get complex PTSD, and it is very traumatizing. You have to heal from that type of trauma, or it gets trapped in your nervous system and causes you to suffer horribly, kind of like somebody who went to war.
Yeah.
It's on the GoFundMe or?
What'd you say, Sarah? Say that one more time.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do we donate? Is it the GoFundMe link, or how do we donate to the cause?
Well, right now I got a GoFundMe and a PayPal, and I got an account where I just put I got an account that I transfer all of it into, like a savings account. And Josh has donated in the past. There's a couple other TIs who've been interviewing with me. They've donated, and periodically we just all kind of talk about what we're going to do with the funds. Josh has done a couple of interviews with me, but in the past we were coming up with planning ideas for places we want to relocate to and whatnot. So it's kind of just like a savings for all of us who want to do this together, and then we're just implementing plans. Like, we don't really put the plans out forth in the interview because we haven't done it yet, so we don't want everybody on YouTube knowing step by step what we plan on doing, you know what I mean? But basically it's just the transportation. I mean, the location is nothing. We all agree upon a location. We all know what we're going to do. We're going to go hiking, we're going to go camping. We're going to figure out what food sources are nearby, what restaurants. If somebody's sick and goes to the hospital, we can all go with each other. That type of thing. Group support, teamwork. And everybody's a leader. There's nobody above anybody. Like, I'm not above anybody. Josh isn't above anybody. You're not. No. Everybody just does their own thing and decides how they want to live their own life. It's not nothing like no type of you have to do this, you have to do that. Like, everybody just does what they want to do, but we're clicked together for support.
Yeah, we
Emotional,
don't have
social.
an assigned
Right.
business or an assigned position they need to fill or anything like that.
Yeah, and if it works out good enough, there'll be other groups of people around the world that will naturally do the same thing. And if we get the proper support, I mean, we can go down, maybe we can go to like the Virginia Islands or something, or go somewhere really cool. You know what I mean? If we can get the right kind of backing, if some really good people out there would want to actually help their fellow man for their God, you know what I mean? Then somebody can step in and really help us. That'd be wonderful. But we got to do it ourselves first. We can't talk the talk. We got to walk the walk. And it used to be about the ABCs, just getting down and talking about this. Now we're on the XYZs. We're actually implementing stuff and putting it forth, and actually grooming. We're grooming each other for this experience. Like I told you before, Rachel, every time we do an interview, you're stepping out more and more and more and more. Pretty soon, I'd like to see all of us, holding personal conferences and stuff. All of us being leaders and doing that. And that's what we're pushing for. It's a movement to create leaders, because every single day more people are getting gang stalked. And so we have to be there for the people that it's happening to, so they know what to do and where they can go for help. And that's going to be us. So
I have a good question for you, man. I'm thinking about this. I had a friend who always said to me, he's like, someday you're going to understand what it means when people say follow your bliss, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if a person's like joy in life, what they always wanted to do, like what you're talking about, whether we're forming in like what some people call an ecclesia, or whether we all had RVs and we're like retired seniors going across the country, I feel like it's just important to do it, to say, well, if I'm going to be totally free, why not be totally free to be me? Like, if this weren't happening, like whether I want to live on the road and live in an RV, or whether I want to relocate to this part of the world and become a dog trainer. I mean, maybe that's part of the key to it, is just going and doing the thing that you might be afraid to do, and just go ahead and go find the place to be that person. And then maybe the stalking would just not even register, Like you'd be like, I'm doing something else here. I see you, but I don't care.
Right.
Well, like me
right.
and Bill were talking about last night, the further away from like the big cities and everything we get, the less, like, no matter where we go, we're going to get stalked. But it'll be greatly diminished, and they'll have less accessibility to us and less people willing to do the stalking or take the assignments for as little as they get paid in the city.
Yeah.
Right.
They won't. It won't be worth their while. See, say we go out. Say for instance, we can do it, and we can go out into the woods, or we can go out into the desert. I mean, you go enough far out into the Mojave Desert, who is going to want to come out there? We say we got resources we need. We got all the water we need. We got medical attention. We got ways to leave if we want to. Yada yada yada. And everybody knows what's going on beforehand. Everybody agrees on it. Everybody feels comfortable. It's a real thing we're doing to help each other. What kind of game? Who the hell is going to want to be out there? Go way out far enough. They're not going to. They're not going to follow you that. They're not going to follow you that far into the desert. Or say we do it in the woods, which is a wonderful idea. I think the woods would be a lot better. Who the hell would want to go that deep into the woods? My perception of it is my God's going to make sure that everything's going to be okay. If we go into the woods, you come out there at night. If there's wolves out there, there's bears out there. We're out there. We're living peace. We're comfortable. We're being happy. Who's going to want to come out there with all that? If you want to come out here late at night with all these wolves and bears, that's on you. You want to come out here for some Walmart cards at 3 a.m. with wolves and bears? That's on. Okay, come out. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
I feel like I still need to be. I'm gonna have like city interaction some degree. I can't not have some like social interaction. I can't be isolated. I already am. I already live in that environment practically. And I've lived on a farm, in which has the benefits, but when you need to get something, if you're in an area where the stuff that you need is just not there, you are going to have to drive in. And then when you do drive in, there are going to be people there when you drive in. So you're not going to ever completely escape it. Unless you just are like, I'm going to go back to Lord of the Flies and like live out there and shoot like, Sasquatch and roast them for dinner every night. I mean, I don't see how you can just live in the forest.
No. The idea is not to put ourselves in a situation where there's just not going to be no people around. Like Rachel was saying, the idea is to diminish the opportunity for gang stalking. If we only have to deal with it a little bit or sometimes, that's a lot better than being isolated in these communities where it's going on 24/7. Because from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, it's going on. Even when I'm in my house, there's noise campaign and stuff. Then I'm by myself. I don't have anybody around me who knows what's going on, so it's not really that fun. So if we can cut that by half, that's a hell of a start.
And then if we can cut anywhere on earth where I can go, where the voices are completely gone, I will stay there forever.
Yeah. Right. I think, Rachel, I honestly believe once you get out into a setting where you're out in nature and you're away from these cities and stuff, I think it will be greatly reduced. I had a friend named Steve. He was the first person who contacted me when I began my beat gang stalking courses in June of 2016, and he was getting the voice to skull terrible, and he was getting gang stalked on a street level terrible. He was near suicide. He would never leave his house even. I got him to leave his house. I got him to confront the gang stalkers, let them know what's going on. And before you know it, he was out there like Debo, like at the liquor stores at night, telling people what was going on and stuff. And he no longer gets gang stalked. And then he said the voice to skull stopped. He literally beat gang stalking. Ann, are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
That
sounds like a good story.
Yeah, Ann, are you on? That's you?
I'm on. Yep, I just got on.
Okay, everybody, this is Ann, Andrea, Rachel, and Josh. This is Ann. This is a good friend of mine. She's been a major contributor, and Ann actually financed to help somebody come up here who was being gang stalked and met with me at one point. Ann's helped me out a lot, and Ann was even with me when I was in jail recently. And I was calling Ann when I was in jail and everything, and she made a portrait for me. She sent it to the jail and stuff. Ann's been such a wonderful contributor. And can everybody introduce themselves to Ann for a moment?
My name is Rachel. I've been gang stalked for I think like 3 or 4 years. I just became aware of gang stalking maybe about 2 weeks ago, so I'm still fairly new to all of this. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Andrea?
How did you begin?
Oh, Andrea, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. Andrea, why don't you introduce yourself to Ann? Ann, this is Andrea.
Hello, Ann.
Hi, Andrea.
Yeah, and Andrea has a marvelous story. She actually discovered a little girl who was almost murdered. She was stabbed to death in a tunnel underground, and Andrea was a hero. Andrea saved the little girl's life, and she did what no one else could do, or no one had the balls to do. And she went down there and saved the little girl's life. A 16-year-old girl was almost murdered, and Andrea brought the little girl to safety. That went down there and left Bibles down there, trying to bring God into the situation. Then she's been viciously stalked since then. And Andrea's been under mind control attempts from her family, under a generational curse. And it's a horrible. Andrea has risen above it all, and now she's joined the conference. And Josh is here. Josh has gone through MK Ultra, and Josh has been a major supporter. You may have spoken to Josh before in a previous conference.
So.
Right.
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hey, I remember for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, I think so. Yep. Well, those are some
Yeah.
really interesting stories.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. See, everybody already went through their stories and everything.
Yeah, everybody's just been going around. Andrea's story is really powerful. Rachel's story is amazingly powerful. Rachel got taken to like a laboratory type place and was given LSD and
yeah, I just wonder what happens to all of us. I mean, when we're, because they can give us that drug. I forget what it's called. That you put. They put you.
Almost.
They what? They what?
Are you talking about the drug that's very similar to like a truth serum?
Yeah, it's like a truth serum, but it's like what they use to put you under, I guess.
Yeah, it's sodium
Special
pentothal.
K.
The truth serum is sodium pentothal. Truth serum is sodium pentothal.
Yeah,
and then
so
it's like,
you know what? I'm sorry, I was going to say it's often not used one or the other.
And then it's like they then you can't remember what happened. It's like what they give you for an operation. So you just forget.
The one that they shoot you in the butt with.
Maybe, yeah. And then some people
and you're out unconscious, like in a coma state for 2 days. They've done that to me before, and I don't know what happened.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's a scary feeling to wake up after being drugged like that.
Like we've had, we've gone under hallucinogens, truth serums, like all these different classes that they use for mind control and all that.
Thorazine.
They were giving me a hallucinogen at the very beginning. Everything was just seemed really intense, and I could notice all the smells and everything like that. Yeah. Who knows what they did.
Did you hear that story about that Irish mobster in Boston, Whitey Bulger?
No.
When he was Whitey Bulger was an MK Ultra experiment. He was an Irish mobster in Boston, and he was in the penitentiary, and they were giving him PCP and truth serum and Thor. They were really they drove him nuts when he was in the penitentiary, and then he got out, went on a crime spree, and they just let him go, and he just went out on blast and was running the Irish mob syndicate out of Boston, but he was on those same drugs, and he was a mind control experiment. And it's happened to a lot of people. There's a lot of people who come out of the penitentiary under mind control.
Yeah, that's one of the places they do it.
Yeah.
And then so, was it Rachel, you were the one who woke up in a lab?
Yeah. And, yes, it was supposed to be a rehab, and my family had picked out this place and basically gave me no other options but to go to this place. After they had gaslighted me and pretty much kept me like inside the house for 8 days, and I didn't know where I was, and it was supposed to be a rehab, but I was being drugged the entire time.
I know that they do use rehab to reprogram MK Ultra slaves too.
Yeah, there's a lot of Scientology operations going out of those rehabs too, and Scientology is linked to not only mind control. Scientology is linked to the group stalking because did anybody ever see those videos from Aurora Rucker? I posted one of her videos on my Confusion Stage of Gang Stalking blog article, and it's helped a lot of people. But in that video, Aurora Rucker was talking about the Scientology stalking she was going through. These people get stalked just for leaving the Scientology group, and it's the same as gang stalking. And these Scientologists are in the rehabs and stuff. Yeah, it's some strange stuff.
I've heard the Jehovah's Witnesses will do that, or any church will do that. Lots of churches, not any church, but lots of different churches will do it for leaving.
Leaving the church. I believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff.
And they'll drive you to leave the church if you're like being a disturbance or whatever, and then stop you after they drove you out of there.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, I think I got some. I went to a church, and I think I got some directed energy weapons while I was in there, so I didn't go back to any other churches because I, you know, anyway.
What did it? What did it feel like when it happened?
Well, I have different kinds happening, but like sometimes it feels like I feel like it's a gun shot through my head, and I can feel it entering one side and coming out the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that one.
And then sometimes it just feels like there's extra like electromagnetic, like if you have more gallons, like that'll like intensify it. And so they shot me up with more gallons when this all first started in November. And so I've been kind of struggling with it ever since. And so if I get in a high EMF area, well,
Do you feel like it gets confused? Could you get confused with complex PTSD? Because I'll tell you what happened to me. There's a couple of things. See, I know that they do it because I have experienced the direct hit to the head with a microwave weapon in an underground military base to the point where I had to run out of line of sight for it to stop neutralizing me. And I've had my thighs burned, but before I started waking up, if you would have told me about this, I'd be like, oh, no. And see, even now, even though I know that they did it to me a little bit, I'm still like, oh, they're not doing anything now. But you see, every time I go out, there's a particular like four-way intersection where it's like some weird stuff happens. And I noticed like not long ago there was like this white Suburban, and there was something about it that the way it was coming to the stop sign and the way it was like angled and the way it was getting ready to turn, I noticed it and I immediately felt irritated. And it was like then I had a sudden panic attack, and it was like the air around me rarefied and smelled like ozone. And I felt like a brief panic attack, and then they turned. And I was like, was that a shot? Was that a shot? Or was that just me, like, psyching myself out?
I don't know. They shoot me all the time, and it always seems to be at the same places. And at first I thought it was like cars shooting me, but then I realized that I think they're set because since it's always the same place, exactly the same place.
That might be it, because that stop area is where everything always goes wrong for me. It's that one place. It's like there's always something at that four-way stop,
So like maybe you can find out what it is. Maybe you can see it. You can take pictures of those too sometimes. Like I've gotten a bunch of photos of the directed energy weapons, and they look like a rainbow coming. Like if you see the sun rays, they'll be coming from a different angle and place from the sun.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Does it matter what time of day it is for that to leave?
It's just your cell phone. Your cell phone has an infrared sensor in it, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It'll pick it up, and then it'll also distort your pictures. It'll distort the front of the picture on your I learned this from Karen Stewart, and I had it happen to me.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. So if your
because I've noticed my pictures are weird. Yeah.
And then it won't come out like when you print them out there, they won't be weird, but like your cover picture on your camera, it'll be all warped. Or like when you're trying to take a picture, the picture of it that you're seeing will be really, really warped. But then when you print it out, it'll be normal looking.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've experienced that too. I thought someone was just hacking into my phone and just, messing with edit your picture app just to mess with me or something. I didn't know that was the cause of it. I thought someone was just playing a prank on me.
Well, that's what I thought too when it was happening in Tucson, and then Karen sent a picture into Target Justice or somewhere of the same thing. And I realized that I'd been getting hit with microwaves when I was in Tucson because my camera was doing that on my phone. And yeah, my microwaves in particular. Yep.
Wow. I love Karen. Karen is so awesome. So is Romola and Catherine and Millicent.
Yeah. Aren't they neat?
As well.
Yeah.
Are they what?
They're neat. Aren't they nice? Neat. Yeah.
Yes. They're so nice. They're so nice. They're so intelligent, and they're funny too.
Yeah, they aren't they though? Yeah, they are funny.
I found like everybody that's called in to Jamil's channel here is very, very intelligent, very insightful, and has a lot of knowledge to be shared with everybody who's gone through something like this.
It's funny because I find that like where I think that's where all the interesting good people are. They're all TIs. Like I want to make a T-shirt that says TI. That's where all the good people have gone. But,
right.
I like that.
Because it's everybody who like pays attention and notices things, And yeah.
Yeah, we should be making, that's something that we need to do is make T-shirts and make hats and, create keychains and stuff. And I'm telling you, that
flyers. I want to pass out flyers just for awareness.
I think that's a great idea because most people don't even know what gang stalking is. I know I didn't. I just thought I was crazy, for real, for a long time. I had no idea.
Absolutely. Now listen to this. Ann started Ann wasn't doing any of that. And me and Ann were talking about it, and I told Ann how I used to pass out flyers for days. I'm talking about at McDonald's, at the banks, I used to go to neighborhoods with mansions. I used to be up in the projects and back of liquor stores, in front of homeless shelters. I was everywhere passing them out.
I want to jump on that boat right there.
Right. And and Ann started passing them out on Main Street in her town, and Ann just went everywhere doing it, and it breaks the isolation factor away. I'm telling you, it works. I started telling people to break the isolation. If you watch the breaking the confusion stage, I wave at the cars, talk to them. I approach the people and tell them what gang stalking. I'm for real. Like I just go. I was going everywhere. It went to flyers to business cards. Like I show up with business cards and stuff, telling them how I beat gang stalking and everything. Like I work on Wall Street or something. And that's
you're pretty proactive. That's for sure.
That is awesome.
Right.
Be careful. Do you want to hear a weird story that's kind of connected?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had this great day today where I broke some of my social isolation and found a friend from high school and her friend, and we went like window shopping, and then we went to this Hong Kong market and we're getting like all this Chinese food and stuff. And we were in the fresh food section. It was so very international. There were these women that were we kept on like kind of getting around each other and being like, I'm sorry, oh, excuse me. And we were kind of having this interaction. And because I was with friends, I was like, this doesn't really bother me, but I do feel like I recognize this person as a person who's here with us as a person to interact with, whether it's gang stalking or not. And she switched back and forth between like perfect, flawless English and African from whichever country in Africa she was from. And at one point, after we'd all kind of joked and laughed about getting each other's way, she picked up a purple cabbage and she was like, "Oh my God, this thing is just so heavy, it's like a rock." She was like, if I threw this at somebody's head, I could fucking kill them. And you would think it's kind of threatening, but we all paused a second and then we all looked at each other like you would in a cartel, and we were like, ha 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 ha, and like went on about our way. And it was just like an encounter that was that gang song? I don't know, but apparently it like went all right because none of us gave a crap, And I feel like I almost want the humor side of this to come out because me and my other friends I've talked to are like, we should need to make a sitcom about this. Like that'd be the perfect thing to put into a sitcom. And just like make your own script around it.
Definitely raise awareness, that's for sure.
You know what we need to do is take this interview we're doing, and after I post it, and I'm gonna hook it up real fat. And after I post it, we should download this and put it on DVD and show it to people.
Oh, that's a good idea. You know what we should do? We should take this and a flyer, and we should attach it to a rubber chicken and a helium balloon and let them fly where they may. Let's imagine like hundreds of thousands of helium balloons, like that song from Nina, 99 left balloons to go by. We've got the scroll on our little carrier pigeon. It's just going to go where it's going to go, and we're going to pray in the randomness of the universe so let the balloon fall where
Or
it may.
a bunch of letters in a bottle. Send them
Yeah,
out.
send my SOS to the world.
Love
Well,
it.
National PI Day is on August 29th, so that would be a day to do it, maybe.
Oh, good. That sounds awesome. If we want
I don't
to,
know.
I mean, I'm now sounding silly, but it's like if you really wanted to do it, it might be kind of cool to see what happens, especially if you leave your email address, and you leave them links to Jamil's channel or, anything that you think they should look at. That might be really cool, and they might actually do it just because it's so weird that it was connected to a helium balloon that they found on the ground.
That's
Yeah,
so neat.
you know what though? If we all get together, I'm talking about Andrea, Rachel, Josh, Ann. If all of us got together, we could have like a little speakers group. That's all part
I
of
think
the
that's a
idea.
great idea. I think that would help a lot of people because I think a lot of targeted individuals don't know that they're targeted and they just are losing their minds.
Right,
Which is
right. Because
part of the program. That's what they want. They want you to go crazy and kill yourself.
Right, or
Well,
kill
we
somebody
just
else.
last night about maybe a 12-step kind of sort of like program, like not exactly 12 steps, but like where people can just get together and tell their story similar to AA, because that paradigm or diagram or whatever you want to call it has gone on since AA came out, and it's still bringing people together, all those anonymouses where people just can come in and tell their story, and it's very, very healing.
Yeah, because I got about 5 hours in me. I could be on a microphone for 5 hours straight, no problem. Not even need a break. I just keep talking, and then if all of you, if all of us got together, we could have like a 10-hour speaking thing, especially with the people asking questions and stuff. And like if somebody wants to hire us to come into their workplace or go wherever, go to a university or something, and we just be like, well, you got some questions? What's the questions? Especially buy some books and keep studying and stuff. We could have a lecture tour and just show up and just start going off on them for like a few hours, telling them about gang stalking and stuff.
On like workplace mobbing and gear it towards wherever we're going. Because universities is a big place right now where it's happening.
Workplace mobbing, it's happening. It's happening. I remember talking to representatives from IBM and Coca-Cola about it. I actually had a business, Beat Gang Stalking Incorporated. This was a couple of years ago. I ended up going to Coca-Cola and talking to them and calling IBM, and they were just like, they had heard of workplace mobbing, but they didn't know what gang stalking was. And I was just like, if you have any issues with it, need some motivation, I got no problem teaching your employees about it. That wouldn't be, and they said, well, why don't you create a portfolio and a resume and send it to us professionally? At the time, I was going through so much stuff, I just didn't have time to do it. But, people in the business world are open to this stuff, and there's people out there getting treated horribly who actually need the help. So it'd be a wonderful thing. Like we could live off the grid, and then just when somebody needs help, just go into the cities and stuff and just start talking to the people. And, then people will be like, because people are like, I call the cops, they don't help me, the cops even gang stalk me too. People say I go to the government, they don't do nothing. I go to the United Nations, they don't do nothing. There was a guy calling like the Russian government and the Chinese government trying to get help. Like that's how bad it is. And so it'd be cool if, we had a thing going where we're like off the grid, out of the city, and then when people actually need the help, do the crisis counseling, do the courses, and give people demonstrations on how it feels. Like have somebody, like we could sit there and say, okay, we're going to show you how it feels, and have them walk around, and we'll just follow them with red shirts. And do that to them for like 2 days. Yeah, do it to them, like have the people sign up and volunteer for it, and like do it to them for a few hours or just during, or even a couple of days, and just be like, look, be like, what you experience is only, not even, what you experience is like about 5% of what it's really like. That's nothing. Like, show them. Say, this is nothing, Imagine living like this every day with dozens of more people, gaslighting, noise campaigns, and show them. Say, we're going to take you to a restaurant and sit down and eat, and then when he sits down to eat, have somebody just walk up to him and just start clapping their hands real loud while he's trying to eat. And just do little things like that. And just say, imagine if you're getting covertly drugged, electronic weapons. disinformation campaigns, people telling your family stuff, telling your friends stuff, and show them how it feels. And then they can say, well, you know what? What they showed me makes me really see what's going on. That's the type of stuff we need to do, given demonstrations, because there's no education on the subject available. And I think we can lay it down for them. I believe that.
I think we're all masters of this now because, if you've really been a targeted individual, then you've had to learn real quick about the gang stalking program just to keep your sanity and stay alive, really.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Most definitely. And you got to think the generations that are the next generation, there's going to be people in that generation who are going to be getting gang stalked. How many of them are going to kill themselves from it?
Right.
And
also, suicide programming.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hello?
Go ahead, Rachel. Yeah, go ahead. Ann, who's speaking? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say also, when I've been trying to kind of target some younger people, definitely, and when I hand out flyers, and I hand out Karen Stewart's flyers, different ones, but because I think, okay, well, someday, maybe, if they're not into gang stalking yet, then they could be, but maybe they'll think twice if they know this information,
It's planting a seed no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like colleges are like really the place, because people are so open-minded in college and everything, It'd be neat to go to college and do that.
I think most important places to get into or talk about this would be like the institutions, but I don't think they'll let us in.
They might keep us there.
You might not come out.
I'd be scared.
Well, that it might be, it might be a thing to where the people in the institutions invite us in. You never know. I mean, every day the world changes, and there's more information coming out on this. It's really about how bad people want help or how bad people want help for other people. If somebody really wants help for a family member of theirs, or they really want help for one of their students or a coworker, or they want help for their neighbor or a friend, then they'll step forth and say, you know what, we want you to talk to this person. We don't know what's going on with them, but something's happening, and they're being gang stalked. And can you talk to them and get them some help? Once people get to that level, then there'll be invites. People will say it's like how in juvenile halls, the juvenile halls will call in ex-criminals to come and talk to the kids, like Scared Straight. You ever seen that?
Right. Yeah.
They'll call some old convicts. They'll call some old convicts to come and talk to the juvenile delinquents to set them straight. And the old convicts will come in and say, "I've been where you've been before. Before you were born, I was boosting cars. Before you were born, I was selling dope. Before you were born, I was in jail fighting." And they do that to help the kids because they care that much about the kids. They don't want them to go on to the penitentiary. And so institutions sometimes will reach out for help for speakers. And so if we have a service and they know we can help, there may be a teacher or a professor who knows what's going on and they don't want to they can't do anything about it, or they don't want to voice their opinion, so they may contact us and say, "Listen, can you talk to this person?"
That's a great idea because I think a lot of targeted individuals are either in jail or homeless or in a mental hospital. I mean, that's kind of where you end up.
Right.
Or dead.
Right.
Yeah. They end up. There's a lot of people who have been killed. They're dead, and we don't know their story. They're in institutions. They're maybe in the penitentiary.
Right.
They may be on drugs. A lot of these people, I think, go to drugs. Pills, meth, whatever, to try to escape the pain of the situation. I mean, I know for me, there's been a lot of nights where I got drunk not just because I really needed the alcohol, but because I just got tired of watching all this gang stalking stuff. So I just go, drink a couple of beers or something. I drink myself a whole pint of gin or something like that. You know,
To escape
I
the
mean,
reality.
yeah. There's been times where I went and hung out with went and got sorry went to the went over to went and hung out with I had problems talking to women because the gang stalking operation would go recruit the women to gang stalk me, and I got tired of meeting nice women and then getting fucked over by the gang stalking network. So I would just go pay for it. I would just go over to one of those old dope spots where everybody's getting high, give a girl like $20 or you know what I'm saying, like $40 or $60, something like that, and hang out with her for the night. You know what I mean? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't put nobody down or nothing.
Yeah, that's where like I feel a lot of them turn to because they can't have like an intimate relationship, or any kind of, where there's any sort of trust based in there. So, if you're, paying someone to hang out with you, you're like, okay, well, she wants some money. That's pretty crystal clear, that's
Right.
simple,
Yeah, I would say the girl's getting high. I know she probably wants a fix, so here I'm gonna buy her fix for like $40 or something, and because then I don't gotta worry about it, because then I know if she gets approached and asked to do gang stalking, so it's not gonna matter. I might not even see her again. But I've noticed one thing. I've noticed that gang stalkers only really go after women that I feel the most like connected to, like emotionally. So if I really like a woman, then they will ask that woman to do way more gang stalking assignments. And I notice if I really don't care too much about the female, then sometimes they won't even ask her to do the assignments. It's who I show interest in. That's how sick this stuff is. It creates they're out for emotional distress and psychological harassment. And so a lot of guys go through that.
Complete psychological abuse. Anything you care about, they're going to destroy.
Right. And a lot of the women are weak. They're worthless. I've been gang stalked by different sorts of women, and I hate I don't like to I don't like to view all women one way just because I had bad experience with a couple women. But it's like the women are so worthless. It's like they'll take a couple dollars to do anything, and they're worthless. Their families are worthless, and it's just disgusting. The degeneracy in these people is startling, and but it's all good though. At least I'm meeting real people, like you, Rachel, Andrea, Ann. It's like I'm meeting good people, so it's all good anyway. So my God's putting me where I need to be, regardless.
Amen to that.
Right.
Well, and I also in your situation, Jamil, like maybe a couple of those women were sent out to you too, because I've experienced that where they send out someone who's supposed to be like a romantic interest or like a coworker or a friend or someone that you'll get along with, and they kind of like force upon intimacy on you so that they can just fuck with your head more.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I swear one of my exes is a gang stalker.
I wouldn't doubt
it. They will pay somebody to be your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and
or even marry you.
Yeah, and then torture you. I think the gang stalking program also is, if you ever read like about narcissistic personality disorder, it's pretty much that they do the same exact game plan as NPD. One thing that's really helped me too is to learn more about narcissism. I believe I don't really believe in psychiatry because of my experience of being a lab rat for the CIA and for MK Ultra, but I do believe that narcissists are like evil Jezebel spirits, and the characteristics of a narcissist, what they use, the provocation, the gaslighting, the projection, the name calling, the shaming, the blaming, the abuse, it's all the same. The same game plan.
Yeah, it's all pretty much the same stuff, I mean, these people are really sick, I mean, the people behind this sort of stuff, and I'm just amazed to have a good group of people like Ann, you know a lot about this, Rachel, you know a lot about this because you've been living it, and even though you just figured it out a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, what gang stalking was, you still have an amazing wealth of knowledge behind your experiences And Andrea, you really got a story right there about the thing with the tunnel and the situation with your family being generational and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
So,
believe
Well,
it's a
and the
generational
gentleman
curse.
on the line here, I forget his name. I apologize. I'm terrible with names. But the other gentleman on the line here, he has a wealth of knowledge on the voice to skull, which is, what drives, a lot of us, like, just batty to the point where we want to kill ourselves.
right. Josh, you know what? Josh, I just looked at the computer screen, and for some reason, Josh looks like he went off the call. I'm about to call in on my other phone real quick to our line, and then I'm gonna see what's happening with him and text him real quick on the phone I'm talking on. His phone may have died or something, or something may have happened with his dog or something. But yeah, Josh has an amazing wealth of knowledge, and how. Okay, so I want to ask you ladies, how often do they send certain sorts of guys to you to mess with you, so to speak?
It's happened to me at least 3 times.
Me, it happened until I stopped, showing any interest in dating at all.
What they've done to me is they'll send someone to me, and then they'll torture me by like flirting, or just like stringing me along, and nothing ever happens.
Or I'll
And
get close to someone and then they just disappear. That's happened a couple of times.
and then they disappear. They always disappear, like really suddenly, and they change their phone number or whatever.
Yeah, and I think they do have to create some sort of like abandonment issue or something.
It definitely works.
It's trauma.
It does.
Continued trauma. So you don't even want to try anymore,
No.
They want to keep you isolated.
You just totally lose interest completely,
Exactly.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, it's incredible. John just told me he had to log out for a second because he had to do something, but he didn't want to interrupt, so he'll be back in a minute. And there's a bunch of other people who may want to join in. So I'm gonna just go through here. So what do you ladies think about the concept of the generational targeting? Do you think that they're going after women in such a way as to where they're looking at going after their children once they reach a certain age or from birth?
No. I know a lot of people who have children who aren't being targeted,
Okay. I've spoken to a couple people that claim that their children have been targeted, and I've never spoken. The youngest I've ever seen for women getting gang stalked was 19, and the youngest for guys was 18. But then again, the parents didn't know anything about it. The woman that was 19, her family didn't know anything. Her family didn't believe her, and she was getting gang stalked. Though then the young guy, his family didn't believe him, and the 19-year-old family didn't believe him, and so it made. But then there was a group in San Francisco, or not San Francisco, but Sacramento. Did you guys see that family that was getting gang stalked?
No.
It's on my channel. It shows a clip about a family getting gang stalked, and their whole family is literally being gang stalked, and they're also being used for some sort of biological experiment.
Wow.
Oh. That's terrible.
Yeah. That's why we're going for the getting off the grid thing, because you don't know what this can turn into. Just like the Holocaust, where they started telling people not to come back to work and not to come back to school, and they started painting an image of the Jewish children, as being this and that, and then soon enough, within time, they were pulling little girls' eyes out and burning little babies alive and stuff.
You know what I've heard? I've heard some TIs say that they're molesting their children.
That's part of the trauma-based mind control programming, because they have to be molested in order to split and create an alter for them to program. It's absolutely morbid. It's satanic, and I know a lot of like the, like the deep state, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, a lot of the satanic cults. That's what they do.
Terrible.
It is. It's absolutely traumatizing and horrible. And I think all this stems from Project Paperclip. Hitler's social engineering has completely infiltrated America. So I wouldn't be surprised if some parents actually sell their children into this. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yep.
I hate to interrupt. I do have to jump off the line here in about 6-7 minutes. Jamil, is there anything else that you need me to weigh in on, or anything else I can do to kind of wrap up my section of this call before I have to go?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to leave off on get off right now. If you're gonna be getting off, we can leave that a note at which we started, where you were explaining how you were more than ready to push the movement for getting off the grid and all that, and how we were in the process of planning it. And you were saying, this is a serious thing. We need funding and all this stuff. And would you encourage more people who are like-minded to email us and to come in and get involved with what we were doing? How do you?
Oh, absolutely. Like, even if I wasn't a TI and I was an objectional third party watching these videos, knowing that I could contribute to helping people who are getting attacked can escape away from that and heal from it, I would, donate to that cause. And I definitely, if you're a TI out there, I definitely feel like, come in, like, share your knowledge, weigh in, and, kind of help us figure out what we can do about this, because just sitting in isolation and being attacked, shouldn't be the only option.
Right. Sitting in isolation and being attacked shouldn't be the only option. And, that's a wonderful place to leave off, Rachel. And, next time you're available, whether it be later tonight or tomorrow, we'll go back into some more interviewing, or, whenever you're ready. I'm here 24/7, and, as much love and support as you need, we're giving it to you. You're a part of the thing. You're going to be talking to Ann more in the future, and then Josh isn't here, but you'll be talking to Josh more. And Andrea, I know you'll be down to talk to Rachel later on, right?
Oh, I'm down. It was really nice just being able to talk to you and hear your experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah, you guys are all very knowledgeable, and it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you. And I just want to put it out there to all the viewers that if you shoot Jamil email or a phone call or even comment on his videos and leave your information or just a way to contact you, he gets back to you. He gets back to you pretty quick. Because I was telling my buddy that my buddy actually follows, has been following your videos before I was even aware of them. And I was even letting him know. I was like, hey, did you know that if you just like shoot him a text, he calls you like right back? And he got all excited about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that, Rachel. That's what I'm here for, is to connect with people, because no one else is doing it, so we got to stick with each other and try to make the best out of it. And we all love you, and we want the best for you. And so whenever you're ready, you can always call.
Absolutely.
That goes for me too, Rachel.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I'm here for you guys too. Anytime. Kind of like the 12-step, where like everyone has like a sponsor they can call like 24/7. Like, I'm here like anytime that you guys need me. Like easiest way is to shoot me a text and I get back to you as soon as I can.
Cool.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys have a good evening, and I'll be available here again in a couple of hours, so I'll check in with Jamil and see what's going on.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, and Andrea, tonight's your first night coming in, and me and Ann were really like waiting for somebody new to come around, because there's been times where people are just scared to come and talk. They've been threatened, they feel intimidated, Or
Well,
sometimes
they've
people have
already, like I told you, they've already killed me, and I've been pumped back to life. It's by the grace of God I'm alive. After that, after you already die, and you've been gang stalked, I've been, like seriously shot at. I've had people poison me. I've been run off the road. I've had people, try and throw rocks at me and hurt me. Like I've had it all. Like I'm not scared anymore. So at this point, I have a purpose here, and I know it's to help the children, and it's to help, the homeless and other TIs. That's my purpose. So
right.
if I can use my big mouth to help others, then that's what I'm going to do.
That's wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
Right. Most assuredly, and more people will come from this, from our interaction. More people will hear your story, and they'll have gone through similar types of stuff. And same thing with Ann, our God's going to see it through and make sure that the people get to where they need to be. So we're not even worried about it. We know it's just going to happen. Right. We just hope when they come in ready. And it's going to be so wonderful when all of us can be together in person and be talking with each other and hanging out and be able to be in an area where we're not being stalked. I'm
curious how the gang stalkers are going to even deal with that. I know the first time I ever talked to another TI was through Facebook, and literally right after I talked to him, my Facebook was deactivated, and I had to restart another one. I couldn't even get into it anymore. So I do have a feeling that they're going to make it difficult. They don't like it when we get together, and join forces.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't like people being stalked and terrorized to talk to each other about being stalked and terrorized.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And they really don't like being videotaped. That's another thing I've noticed. I started videotaping my gang stalkers, and they go into a narcissistic rage and lose their mind.
They do, and then they'll turn their head kind of as if your camera can't catch their profile or whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like when you're driving and they see your camera, they kind of put their mirror thing down and turn their head.
They must get in big trouble with their, bosses, whoever the top of their, I don't know, the gang stalk. I think it is there's there's a higher level, and then they get just, like you were saying, people just, anyone, even homeless people from the streets, and just pay them in Walmart cards. So I think there's different levels to it, and there's a higher up, and they get in trouble if they get caught.
Yeah, and they leave so much information out, so the people that they do hire don't really know too much about what's going on anyway. They tell them only enough.
Right. I don't think a lot of them know exactly the psychological abuse that they're doing. I think they have no idea.
Right. They think it's funny, or I think a lot of it is people want to feel important. They're like, oh my God, you mean all I got to do is look at my phone and look at the little Community Watch app, and all I have to do is drive to where the dot is, and I can wear a red shirt, and now I'm an important person stalking people all day. It's like giving a child, a gun. It's really irresponsible to have these, because some of these people are ignorant, they're illiterate, they've never worked a job in their life, and they couldn't even flip burgers at Burger King if their life depended on it. But now they can just walk around stalking people every day for Walmart cards. It's
a lot of people I get stalked by lately. I think what they think is that they're communicating information to me, and I'm some kind of important person, and that they're kind of like a spy relaying information. Mm-hmm. And so they don't know that they're there to torture me. They just know that they're they think of themselves as spies, and they don't know why they're doing it at all.
I wonder if they're under the spy programming. I just thought about that, because there's all different types of mind control programming, and when a handler or whatever snaps a finger, says the trigger word, they could go into that spy programming and not even know that they're gang stalking you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like the assassins when they go and, shoot up. They don't even know what they're doing. They just, remember nothing, but they know that they lost time.
Right, the Manchurian candidates.
Right, so they could not even know that they're doing what they're doing to us.
Yeah. You ever heard of the Phoenix Project?
No.
Where the Phoenix Project was pretty much terrorism. In Vietnam, some of the Vietnam soldiers were recruited into Project Phoenix or Operation Phoenix. A lot of them were Green Berets, but sometimes it'd be regular American GIs. And pretty much the goal was to terrorize the Vietnamese. They would go into villages where there was really no soldiers even at, and they would cut people's heads off and cut their fingers off. And the reward for it was, if you got a finger, you could get a beer, or if you got a head, you can get $20. So
wow.
if you got 5 heads, that's $100. If you got so people were literally going into Vietnamese villages and shooting up old people and cutting fingers off of children and stuff and heads off. Yeah, just terrorizing. And
right.
it got to and they were like that movie License to Kill, or not License to Kill, but Lethal Weapon, where they showed them how they were using electrical shocks to torture people and split their minds to create the Manchurian Candidate. And some of these guys would have like 100 bodies on them, literally. The American GIs would have like 100 bodies on them, and they would return back to the States, but they did not know they had as many bodies. They forgot what they did.
Right.
These guys,
they had no memory.
Remember how these guys would come back having flashbacks, and you got to remember chemicals were used on them, not just Agent Orange, but there was Agent Green, Agent Purple, Agent Blue, whatnot. Who knows what was in these chemicals?
Right.
Definitely LSD was in this stuff. But the American GIs returned really messed up. And a lot of them went on shooting sprees and stuff, and yeah, they were mind controlled, programmed to kill, for sure.
Killer programming. That's scary. Our military is under MK Ultra, military mind control, suicide programming. That's why over, I think, 22 vets every single day in America kill themselves. And how they do the suicide programming, this one thing I should mention, is through psychiatry, through the psych meds. Instead of LSD now, all they need to do is give you like an SSRI, for example, Prozac. Well, that's a chemical lobotomy, and that, what does it say on the label? Side effect, suicide. What doctor in their right mind would give somebody who's suicidal a medication with suicide as a side effect? It is part of the programming, because it gets you, just like LSD, NA, or alcohol, any type of drug, induce state of mind where you're easily programmable.
Yeah, and it's almost a whole society thing, because like everybody's like that now, because they're all on those meds. That combined with the fact that they're kind of like making it more and more kind of acceptable, it seems like, to kind of like be inhumane or something, to people, where people have kind of lost their manners and like kind of our society, like what we value as good and bad is kind of going away a little. It's kind of gone away a little bit, and between those two things, it's like you just have this totally different society than what we had like 20 or 30 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
Where we had more
scary.
social norms, where we're losing our social norms and everything,
Oh, yeah.
And and so like before, like psychopaths had to kind of like be kind of like tone it down, and now they can just be like out in the open psychopathic, and that's what it seems like, at least,
Right, it's more normalized.
Yeah, seems like it.
It's scary.
Yeah, because before they had to at least kind of pretend to be good people,
Right.
And now it doesn't seem like they have to as much, And, with all the movies that have glorified all these kind of ruthless businessmen type of people and everything, it just kind of, people kind of look up to people like that now.
It's all about power and control with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And it's gotten to the point to where at least people are starting to realize there's something going on because, I've had people let me know that they know there's something wrong going on, even people I didn't even try to explain it to would act like that. I mean, I think it's becoming more visible now because 20 years ago, gang stalking was going on back then, but you never heard anything about it. And now it's like even the mainstream media has spoken about it,
Yeah. Which I'm
And
surprised
so,
about that.
Yeah, me too. I am really, but
there's probably so many people, like reporters and stuff that have gotten gang stalked at this point, that, and then all those other reporters know them and they want to speak out for them probably,
Right. There's good and evil even high up. I believe.
Definitely. Yeah, there is. I mean, there's some good sneaks up to the top sometimes, And I know that, like the reporters and the media and everything, most of them are good people, unlike politicians. And so, of course, they probably want to speak out about the people they know who it's happened to,
Right.
Well, they're not doing
I'm
enough.
sure a lot of them are scared too because they know it'll happen to them if they do.
Yeah, they're not. They're not doing. They're not. I know what you're saying. There's good people everywhere, but it's like there's good people working at McDonald's, but they're not doing too much about the starving people outside.
Right.
And so there's good and bad everywhere, but they're not doing nothing really. And it's like we got to do it ourselves.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I first got targeted, I would watch all day, to see if anybody was doing anything, who was doing what to help us to get out of the program or to help end the program or whatever. But then I started kind of acting and trying to get rid of the program myself by informing people and handing out flyers and everything. And then I just it became okay, well, the news is what am I doing today to help us? That's the news.
Awesome. You got to be the change you want to see in this world. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you have to be, I learned I had to be more kind of self-reliant, to end this program and get out of it,
Right.
Yeah. So I know not everybody ended, but I feel like the more people know, the more non-TIs know about it, the closer we get to ending the program.
I agree. Because anybody with a good heart would never allow this to happen to people.
And most people do have a good heart. I thought even the gangsters do, they're just manipulated.
Yep.
Right. They're just manipulated.
And I just feel like we have to reach out to the good in their hearts, somehow, and to get them to stop.
Well, they're making money. People are making money off this stuff. It's like there's always going to be people around who are willing to participate in it because the factor of greed, the factor people want to feel, a lot of times people want to hold other people down to feel important or to feel like there's somebody special. And there's a lot of factors at work for why people are doing this. It'd be great if there was it'd be great if more people, I only had one person contact me over the internet who was involved in gang stalking and was telling me about it. It was a good woman, but she was afraid to talk about it over the phone. She was afraid to talk about it in an interview. And, we need more of those types of people to step forward and give their opinion. And, even if they can't come out and do an interview about it, they're that afraid. then at least they can give some information, about what they've been doing with their. They can say, well, I was in a community watch group and they wanted me to do this, 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 and this, and I didn't feel it was right. That's the type of people we need. Even if they can't tell us that much.
That would be great if we could find, someone who realizes it's wrong and then speaks out about it. That would be awesome.
Right. Even if they don't have a lot of information to offer, at least it would be their intentions and the sign. It would be an amazing victory for people like us to have that.
For sure.
I mean, I know the degeneracy is the degeneracy in these people is startling.
Yeah, but it's funny because some of them aren't even degenerate, and I think those are the ones that we need to get on our side. The community watch group types that think that they're getting bad guys or doing some kind of spy.
Which they probably are told that, like, we're terrorists or, you know what I'm saying? Like, these evil criminals, like, they probably are thinking they're doing something good, too, some of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of them do. I think really a lot of them.
Yeah.
They rely on, I feel like that's almost like the backbone of their thing. Rely on the fact that of manipulating what good people think,
Yeah, I know.
From might actually part if those people really knew what was going on.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that'd be an amazing victory, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. There might even be people who come and want to speak on the show. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be neat.
For sure.
They'd probably get in really bad trouble.
Right. Well, all right. I'm going to say we've been on the phone. We got about an hour and a half in. Or let me check. How much time do we got in on the phone? This was an amazing conference. We got an hour and 45 minutes in.
Nice.
So that's an amazing start. We probably all need a break and to relax a little bit and to get back to what we were doing. And Josh has signed off. Rachel signed off. I know Rachel is going to want to come back later. Josh, he's doing something. I'm not sure. He said he was going to come back. I haven't heard him come back. So maybe he got caught up with some phone calls or something, something going on with him. But Andrea and Ann, what do you two? How would you feel? When's the next time you two want to do something? I have no problem with coming back and doing it later or tomorrow or later on in the week or whatever. Andrea, I haven't got a one-on-one interview with you yet. I would like at some point, even if tonight, if you got the time, to get a one-on-one interview with you. And that'd be wonderful, and to get a one-on-one interview with you too. I like to bring all of us together in the group interviews and then do one-on-ones too. That way the audience can get a full feel of what all of us are going through as targets of gang stalking. It's a horrible thing, and so we got to show people all there is we can show them, really. There's no way other than we got to do it all the way, 110%. And right, so how do you ladies feel about that? How's that sound?
Sounds good. Whenever, you have the time.
Yeah, Anna?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So how busy are both of you tonight?
I might be kind of tired tonight.
Okay, Ann. Ann, you've been such an amazing contributor, and I know the audience appreciates it. And these new people coming in, it's great for them to hear your perspective and your voice. And I cannot commend you enough on the work you've done, and you've been really supportive and contributing and helping me do the things I need to do. And I'd like to possibly come back tomorrow and perhaps do a one-on-one with you, or tomorrow for sure for the group conference. You're always invited to that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then Andrea, then how about we take a break? We'll take a break and chill out for a little while, and then I'll text you, and then we'll come back later on tonight. We'll give it a little bit of time. I'll text you, like 30 minutes or something, ask you how you're doing, and then we'll come back and at some point do the one-on-one interview.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Right on. Right on.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies. Both of you are really instrumental in providing the spiritual and psychological and intellectual armor that people need to combat what they're going through, And so I look forward to that, Andrea. And Ann, I will be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds good. I hope you guys' interview goes really good.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ann. And this one will be up soon, Ann. And then I'll go through and edit it and stuff and hook it up real good with music and everything. And then then me and Andrea will be working on the one, and you'll be able to check it out.
Okay, that's
good.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, Ann.
Good night,
and Andrea,
Ann.
I'll talk.
Good night, Andrea.
Right. And Andrea, I'll be talking to you soon. I'm gonna call you or text you after a while, and then we'll jump back on.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Cool.
Okay, Andrea. Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.